I've been attending this camp for about 4 years now. I just love camping. Being able to see some new faces, getting to do fun, exciting activities. But my favorite part was the river rope swing. I never wanted to leave that swing once I got on. I was just so excited to go back. Mainly because it would be my last year I went. Summer finally came and it was time to head to camp. When I got to camp, after a 4-hour car ride, I was so excited. I was on my big nostalgia trip, remembering all of my old favorite places. First things first, my mom had to take me to the lodge. When we got up there were a lot of people. We waited until it was our turn to sign up. Before we were handed any papers, the lady at the table told us that there has recently been some weird things going on a few miles down through the woods from us. I just kinda ignored it. My mom helped me lug my suitcase to the cabin. When we got there, I was so happy just to see some of my old friends from last year. Kyle, one of my longtime camp friends, was sitting in a corner making his bed. Jake, another one of my really good friends, was on the floor taking stuff out of his bag. And Brad, he was putting stuff in the closet, like baseball bats and golf clubs. As for the two other kids, I had no idea who they were, but they both seemed to like me. Turns out they were brothers. Their names were Brandon and Nathaniel. And it being their first year, they were kinda nervous, as was I when I first started. But when we got settled in and after our parents left, we sat down and started talking about past adventures in our camp. It wasn't for another hour that our cabin leader arrived. When he got in, he kind of looked at us all with a gloomy face. He turned to us and said, "Hey guys, I'm your cabin leader for the next 2 weeks. Now, before we do anything, I have to tell you some things that have changed. And we will have to be more cautious due to the weird things that have been happening." We were a little uneasy, but we wouldn't let that stop us from having the best summer we can possibly have. The day continued as normal. We introduced ourselves, played cards in our cabin, and went outside and played basketball. Went to the mess hall to eat, came back to sleep. It had kinda odd there were only 6 cabins full. Usually there were 30, or around 30. So the next day when we woke up, it was raining hard. The sounds of hard rain smacking the metal roofs of the cabins echoed off to the distance. Camp leader was nowhere to be found. The kids just sat around in the middle of the cabin, just waiting for our leader to come back. We just started talking about some ghost stories that happened to be around the camp. Some of them seemed completely stupid, but others were actually scary. Outside of our cabin, there was about 400 acres of woods from what I can remember. In those woods, there were some obstacle courses, the chapel, and the river. There was one more thing in the woods that nobody really knew about, because it was so far off the original camp, Rockwater Cabins. Those were very weird, to be honest. There were only a few older cabin leaders that knew about it and knew how to get them. Supposedly, back in the early 1900s, when the camp was first established, 2 kids got in a fight in their cabins. One kid killed the other in his sleep. Very brutal. He had apparently taken a heavy rock and dropped on the other boy's head. Legend has it that the presence of the boy who was killed lurks around the old campground and the chapel. The boy could sometimes be seen crying in the back of the chapel. Somebody even said they saw his head peeking out of one of the windows. At this point, everyone in our cabin was really scared. I swear Brad was going to have a panic attack. Our camp leader came rushing through the door and told us that we needed to pack our things and go to the lodge. He would have to call our parents in the morning and tell them to take us home. We walked all the way from our cabin to the lodge in the rain, completely drenched in our stuff. When we got there, only 4 other cabins had been there. I was sitting next to the fireplace with my cabin mates. We overheard people talking about what was going on. Someone had said that all of cabin 6 had been gone missing from return from the chapel. Later that night, I woke all my friends, and I wanted to go check out what happened in the woods. Very good idea. Though at first they were very hesitant, they still agreed to tag along with me. We grabbed a few flashlights and snuck past the cabin leaders that were sleeping near the exit. When we got outside, it was still raining, but now it was pitch black outside. This still didn't stop us from heading over to the woods. When our group finally got to the mouth of the woods, Brad and Jake just couldn't do it. They sadly walked back to the lodge or the shortcut in the gardens. All that were left were Kyle, Brandon, Nathaniel, and I. We walked slowly through the thin path towards the chapel. Every now and then, we would trip over some uprooted trees, but we still kept going. We could still see the chapel in front of us, but there was something wrong. It was very quiet. Too quiet. The rain had stopped. There was no wind, no animals, inside at least. As we walked up to the chapel, Brandon, the one who was carrying the flashlights, just started screaming. He ran as fast as he could back towards the camp and dropped his flashlights. Or one of the flashlights. The light was shining towards the chapel. In one of the illuminated windows, we saw a face of a child crying. We all screamed and started to rush towards the camp, and out of fear, we lost all sense of direction and had no idea where we are. We came up to the ravine that led down to the river. There was a small black figure that blocked our path. Our only way out was taking the ravine. Nathaniel, Kyle, and I began scaling down the side of the ravine, and we noticed another figure, but of our own. I shined my flashlight down a ways, and there was Brandon lying dead, head smashed in, blood everywhere. He must have tripped on a rude tree and fallen down the side of the ravine, but we had to just keep running. We were halfway down the ravine. We could feel that sweat falling to our eyes like ocean water, and there it was again, a figure of a little boy standing at us at the end of the ravine, waiting for us to play with him. I told everyone to just keep running. I looked behind us, and Nathaniel had disappeared. Completely disappeared. Kyle and I had saw the old stairs coming up on the left that led back up to the part of the camp. When we got to the stairs, and we were almost to the top, we could hear a kid saying, "We can play with the rocks." We didn't stop to look back. We ran all the way to the lodge. When we got there, all the cabin units had been awake. 2 other cabins had to go investigate what was going on with those woods. They both went missing. Finally, Kyle spoke up. He hadn't said anything all night until now. I saw him. The boy just wanted to play with us. Years have passed since that encounter. Kyle was sent to a mental hospital for serious mental trauma. Jake and Brad were found buried under the chapel after they demolished it. Their bodies were cut up, hands were cut off, and put into small chests across from them. As for the other 3 cabins of kids, nobody ever found what happened or where they went. Maybe they just didn't really care.